This conference will now be recorded.
So today we will I will go through the Splunk installation in Linux. Yesterday we have gone through the Splunk installation in Windows, no, where it is a straightforward activity. Okay, today, right, we'll go and install the Splunk on Linux machine. Most of the environments, okay, will have Splunk in Linux distribution. Okay, there is a rare, it is rare like you will have Windows. 97 to 98% of the infrastructure will be installed in the Splunk, sorry, installed in the Linux. Okay, so what we will do, right, I will go to some Linux machine. Okay, I have one Linux machine with 192.168.170.1.207 IP. Okay, just I will go and log in to that one. Okay, yeah, now I have logged into my Linux machine. First thing what I have to do, right? Sometimes what happens if you are installing your Linux operating system on your VMware or in your virtual box, what happens, right? There will be something like firewalls that will be blocking the web console. So for that, what you have to do, right? You have to execute this command iptables-l. Okay, it will list basically, okay, these are the firewalls rules that are in place, which sometimes which will block the like when after installing your Splunk, what happens, right? You won't be able to access the GUI. For that, right, what you have to do is you have to give flush. Okay, you have to give the flush. iptables-f will flush the uh, sorry, it will flush the firewalls. Okay, the Splunk installation path would be something like cd/opt. Okay, so in cd/opt, you will be installing the Splunk. Currently, right, I have already one Splunk which is running. Okay, so what I will do, right, first I will destroy the setup. Okay, I will destroy the setup and I will install a new copy of the Splunk. For that, first what I have to do, right, the Splunk is already running, it is installed. So if you want to destroy the Splunk, cd, you have to go to the Splunk directory and you have to go to the bin directory. Okay, the full path would be opt splunk bin. Here you will find all the executables of the Splunk, the exes or not exes but .ssh or the scripts you will be finding over here. So first what you have to do, right, you have to stop the Splunk /Splunk stop, and we have to delete the directory. The steps are something like this. If we want to destroy the Splunk, right, it is very simple. First thing is like you have to go to that bin directory and stop the Splunk by issuing the stop command and come out and delete the directory. cd /. Okay, rm -rf. That's it. Splunk and installation is completed. Okay, I will delete the tar file also. And now what we will do, right, we will like install the new version. Okay, I will go to Splunk. I'm downloading the enterprise version of the Splunk now. Okay, this component will have indexer as well as the search set. Basically, right, indexer will have UI component as well, but in real time we won't enable the UI part in the Splunk. Okay, now in order to download my Splunk software, prerequisite is you should have registered. Okay, now I'm clicking. I am already having an account, so I'm registering. I'm logging in. Okay, so I'm going to my Linux. In Linux, right, there are three packages. Yesterday we installed from Windows. Okay, we installed the MSI. Today we will be installing the in the Linux. Okay, we will be like going with the tar based installation. Okay, Debian is for Ubuntu and RPM is for Red Hat as well as the CentOS. I prefer like tar installation. Okay, I'm clicking on download now.
For Ubuntu flavor also it will work, Vibhu.
What? Can you come again?
Ubuntu flavor. In Linux, Ubuntu flavor.
Ubuntu also it will work. The basically the thing is that every Linux will have its own distribution. RPM distribution is for CentOS, okay, Mint as well as the Red Hat. Whereas Debian packages are meant for Ubuntu. Okay,
Okay.
this is generic. This can be installed in any flavor of Linux. Either it can be Red Hat or Debian.
Okay.
So like here, right, for this it is just a tar file. So this will work on any platform.
Okay, I will try with
Okay, so basically, right, whenever I click download, right, it will it will be downloading the local copy. Instead of that, right, we'll be getting something like wget. Okay, I think you all know, right, what is wget, right? Wget will download the file. So download via, you are getting some option now. You have to copy this and you have to go to cd/opt. This is the path where your Splunk will be installed. Okay, currently the directory is empty. Okay, so in some Linux what happens, right, wget won't be installed by default. Okay, first what you have to do, right, you have to update your packages. Okay, if you are spinning a new Linux, right, sometimes what happens, right, it won't be with the latest packages, but it is good to upgrade the packages. Okay, so in my Linux operating system I'm having like this packages updated. So I will install yum install is to install a package. I have to install this to wget. Okay, in my system, okay, what happens, right, this wget is already present. Okay, but whenever you spin a new instance, right, it is not necessary like you will be having the wget, so you will be installing. So you have to install like yum install wget, then that package will be installed. Okay, else you'll get error, the command not found. Okay, now this wget will create a file with this name and it will be downloaded from this URL. Installation would be very simple for a tar based installation. Just extract the file, the installation is done. Okay, now the file is downloaded. So if I want to like make it, if I want to extract it, right, then I have to give tar hyphen zxvf Splunk. So I have to give something like tar hyphen zxvf followed by the like the file name. Okay, so I'm clicking on enter. Now what it will do, right, it will create a folder called Splunk. Now a folder called Splunk is created, cd/Splunk/Splunk. Okay, we'll go to Splunk. Okay, in bin you will be having the installation stuff like installation scripts. In etc you will be having the the configuration files which are related to the Splunk. Okay, so what for now, right, what we will do, right, we'll go to cd bin. Here what I will do, right, there will be something like Splunk one. This is the binary. Okay, /Splunk. If I give this, right, okay, it is giving the terms and conditions. Okay, so there will be some commands. I will explain it. Now I want to start the Splunk. Okay, I will come to version again. So the starting the Splunk is very easy. Just issue this command. Okay, then it will ask for this type of terms and conditions. In order to bypass, okay, what you can do, right, in your command itself, you can give something like --accept -license. Okay, if I give this one, the license will be automatically accepted. It is directly prompting for it to enter the username. Okay, this administrator username is for logging into the web console. I'm creating something admin and I am using some password. Okay, now we'll go through this one. Basically, right, you will be entering some username and password. Now based on that, right, it will create some key. Okay, and yesterday I told you, no, there will be something like 8000 port. Did you remember, for web UI? And there will be one management port 8089.
Yes.
So these two are opened by default. Let's assume like this port is already used or this port is already used, right? The installation would fail. Okay, you have to make sure like this port should be enabled by default. Let's assume if you are installing some Tomcat and you are having an application running on 8000, then the installation would fail. Okay, now my Splunk is started. If I want to launch the Splunk, okay, I will use the port number would be web UI is 8000. Okay, admin. That's what. Okay, so here like you will be having like product tours. If you want to add data, you can add over here. If you want to explore data, you can use over here. And yesterday we discussed about the Splunk apps, right? If you want to install any add-ons or applications apps, right, then you can go here. Okay, we'll come back to the Splunk is installed. Now we'll come back to the command line prompt and we'll check the version /Splunk. Okay, now it will show the version. Okay, now if you want to stop it, you have to use Splunk stop to stop the process. Now I want to start it. I can use -start to start the server. Sometimes in Linux, what happens, right? Whenever you install any tar-based installation, no? Oh, actually, what happens, right? These scripts needs to be part of the startup scripts, initd scripts. Else, whenever you reboot the virtual machine, okay, what happens, right? The Splunk won't start by default. Okay, in order to make it work, means like after the post your OS reboot also, if you want the Splunk to be turned on automatically, right? What you have to do, right? You have to give this command, enable boot start. So now what happens, right? It is adding the startup script to the init, like etc init.splunk, such that even if I reboot the machine, the Splunk will be automatically started. Else, right, I have to come and have to start the Splunk. Okay, if you want to disable, okay, boot, okay. If you want to remove this, you can put something like disable. Okay, now I will make it as enabled. If you make this setup, like if you enable, if you make this thing enabled, no, like even if you reboot or if you like turn on after 1 week or 10 days, the Splunk will be automatically started. Till now, any doubts? We are done with installation.
Webu, does it follow any criteria of firewall blocking and the uh, host server machines, everything should be in the same
So
subnet?
yeah, like as I mentioned, no, these ports should be enabled. Like even though the firewall
Okay.
is present, that HTTP, the UI part will open with 8000. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and management port with the will be opened with 8089. So in your desktop, right, if you're having some machines, you should have these ports enabled. Okay, the firewall should not block these ports.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, like nothing. And like if you are doing some like and one more thing will be like troubleshooting stuff would be in, if you spin the instance in AWS or Azure, no, you will be getting the host name by default. Okay, but if you are building some admin setup, like now this is a standalone indexer, now you are having search head, you are deploying the deployment server and all those. So for that, right, the prerequisite is something like you should not have the local host same. So if you are having a machine in a cluster, if you are spinning multiple instances in a cluster, right, the name should be unique. Okay, so you need to change the host name of the file, host name of the machine. Got it? Else,
Okay.
right, when you try to connect one machine to another machine, like if you want to connect a deployment server to this indexer or search head, right, you will get failures. The configuration won't be successful. Apart from that, right, I didn't see any issues. Only in administrative part you will face issues, as this is a standalone, right? You won't find any issues. And one more thing is, right, okay, yes, one more thing is, now I'm installing the application in the desktop server. Okay, it is in the server edition. I have installed my Linux in my server edition. In some cases, whenever you spin some Linux, you will be having multiple Ethernet cards. Did you observe? Now I'm having only one, right? Sometimes whenever you install any desktop edition, right, you will be having some 2 3 Ethernet cards. Have you observed? During that time, what happens, right? Splunk may bind to some other IP other than this. Now I'm having only one IP, so it is binded to this one. Whenever, if you install it is the server edition which I have installed the Linux. If I install any desktop edition, no, I will be having some there will be something like bridge and network and all those. Okay, So during that time, right, the Splunk will be starting, but it will be binded to some other port other than this one, other than this IP. Then the Splunk won't start. So I prefer, like, whenever you install this Linux, right, you install it on a server edition. Clear?
Okay.
Those are the two things. Actually, it won't start at all. Okay, if you are having 2-3 IPs, right, the Splunk won't start. Even if it starts, you won't be able to access the UI. Yeah, nice point. Okay, so I will go through. Okay, so this is the Splunk UI. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, right, in settings tab, right, you will be able to do, if you will be able to different types of configurations. These are all related to admin. Okay, apart from this, okay, now in your company, you won't be able to access all this stuff. You won't be able to access all these three things. Okay, in your company, you will be able to access only this. Clear? Okay, now I will explain like what is this page. Okay, uh, yesterday I mentioned, this is one more thing I'm doing, one more time I'm telling. Splunk by default will have 7 indexes. Okay, these are 7 indexes, 11 indexes. So by default, okay, there will be 11 indexes, and these are used for the like uh, these are maintained by the Splunk. I meant to say, like, these are the internal indexes. Whenever you ship some data, the data will be shipped to some index. Now what I will do, right, I want to get the data from this internal index. For that, what I have to do, right, I have to click on this app, or I will click here. One second. Search and reporting app is there. I have to click on this search and reporting app. Okay, if I want to troubleshoot the Splunk itself, okay, index is equal to underscore underscore internal. Okay, now I will be able to see the Splunk logs. Okay, like if I want to search for something like started, some thread started, or you're able to see some Splunk D started with this process ID. Okay, so you are able to see something like this. Now what I will do, right, I will be downloading some data into the Splunk. So like by default, like Splunk has come up with some tutorial data. Currently, right, you won't have. One second, I will stop the screen share just a second. So now what we will do, right, we'll try to ingest data into the Splunk. Okay, currently there are two possibilities, right? One is like you have to have one application running, and in that you have to install the universal forwarder, and the logs will be shipped from the like a universal forwarder to the Splunk. Okay, so instead of that, right, Splunk has provided something like tutorial data. Okay, you can type something like Splunk tutorial data. Okay, and we'll be able to download. Okay, basically it will have, where is the tutorial data? Yeah, download the tutorial data files are there, right? They are shipping two types of data. One is like tutorial data as well as the prices.csv, where you will have some prices. For now, right, I will be downloading the tutorial data. Now my data is present. Okay, just a second, I will try to extract it. Extract to I will use desktop. Okay, so www1, www3, okay, these are the like web server data. Okay, this is the access log of Tomcat. I will explain how the Splunk parses the data. Okay, let's assume, I hope you are able to see my screen now. How Splunk parses the data is, okay, in Splunk yesterday I have told you there is something like a source type. Okay, basically whenever, okay, some log comes into the Splunk, no, it will automatically recognize the pattern, and it will know whether it is a Tomcat log or it is a SQL log or it is something like a CSV. Okay, Splunk will have that intelligence to decide on the pattern. If it is a VAS log, okay, the logs would be similar, no, you will be having mostly the similar pattern. So how Splunk actually recognize the data, right? Here, anything with key value pair, okay, in your log, if you are having any key value pair, something like name, field value, okay, if you are having this pattern, Splunk will create fields automatically. Fields are nothing but some like variables where it will have data. Okay, in Splunk you will call everything as a field. So let's assume in my log, this is the key value pair, no, JSession ID, right? And in this log, I am having something like item ID. If you go back to Splunk, okay, here, right, these are the fields actually. Okay, index is one field. Okay, and I'm using something like underscore internal. So basically, like, if you want to filter the data, you should have that in a field. So how the Splunk recognizes the fields, right? If anything is with key value pair, it will automatically create a field here. Hope you understood, no? So there is something like a request ID. Okay, in this request ID, you are having multiple requests. In the same way, if you take this log, you are having something like a item ID. Okay, item ID, there may be like one or more item IDs. Okay, so these will be made as a fields. Clear till now? Now you understood like how Splunk recognize the data. Let's assume there is no key value pair. Okay, let's assume like I want to create for this value. It is not a key value pair. Then we have to write some regular expressions, or there are some extracting mechanisms to create a field which is not a key value pair. Clear till now or confusion?
It's clear, Vibhu.
Okay, and there is one more thing, right? There is something like source type. So now there are different types of pattern. Okay, I will add a log file now. So if I want to add a log file, I have to click on settings. Okay, add data option is there. Okay, with add data, okay, I have to upload my file, whatever I downloaded. So there is one thing called like a upload option, which I have to click. In this upload, I have to select my file. If I select this file, okay, it is I am on my desktop. I'm going to something like www1. I'm accessing the access log. Okay, and I have to click on next. Okay, here comes the interesting part. Previously, I told you one thing, right? If there is something like a key value pair, if it is a product, and a value is there. Then Splunk will create a field for this. J session ID, it's a key value pair. Okay, if you go here, no, product ID is there. Okay, action is there. You will be having multiple options like add to cart, purchase. You can add action is there, something like purchase. For all these things which are having a key value pair, the Splunk will create the data. And there are some things like get. It is a HTTP method. Okay, and there is something like a status code 200 is success. Okay, which is generic. For an access log at this value at this place after time, okay, you will be having something like a method. Okay, and after this after this HTTP version, you will be having the status code. This will be generic, and in the first you will be having something like IP address followed by the date, right? So Splunk will recognize this as log, and it will automatically create fields for this stuff, for HTTP get method or this status code. You no need to create. Okay, based on the type of log you select, right, the Splunk will recognize the log and will create the methods. It has intelligence of creating that one. Okay, if you add any custom logs, custom fields, it won't be able to create. Okay, let's assume with this log you have created something like additional field over here. So, okay, Splunk won't create the key value pair for that. Okay, here comes the source type. Source type is nothing but what type of log it is, whether it is like a Tomcat log or it is a see, if you see applications, there are different types of application. So here if you take, there is something like here you will be okay, I'm going to database. Okay, Catalina log, Catalina or log4j or log4 sorry log4net, PHP, Ruby on Rails. Okay, WebLogic log, WebSphere log. Okay, WebSphere core log. Okay, WebSphere underscore T log. Okay, trace output, or here you will be having the description. So the Splunk would be able to recognize these applications, and it will create the fields, additional fields apart from these key value pairs. Okay, if you go to the database also, you are having so many stuff. If you go to operating systems, you will be having something like D messages, Linux underscore audit, Linux underscore like messages and syslog. So based on the category you select, okay, the fields will be created automatically for us, right? Splunk itself will create the fields. You no need to worry. It has intelligence to detect based on the log you ingest in your source system. If you just provide the indexer name, no, without providing any source type, the source type will be picked by default. You no need to explicitly enter also. Clear? Now you understood like how Splunk recognizes the data. It will create the fields.
Yeah, Vibhu.
So
No,
the thing for key value pairs, Splunk has, if anything is key value pair, the Splunk will automatically create the field. And the second would be something like based on the source type, what type of log, whether it is like a access log or was log. So it will know the pattern. So it will know, like here I will be getting the HTTP post method. Even though it is not a key value pair, right? Splunk has intelligence to create the fields for this get as well as for this HTTP status code. So I'm clicking on next. Okay, here no, I want to, where I want to put, I already told you in our all the data will be stored in something like index. Okay, currently, right, this is going to the default index. What I will do, right, I will create some index called as app. Okay, okay, there will be like so many options, but you don't need to bother about these things. This comes in the admin part. Okay, but only thing is like the max size of the entire index is 500 MB. I told no, 500 MB, not GB. Okay, the data would be restricted to 500 MB and save. Now what is going to happen, right? Whatever the data that I am ingesting will fall under this index is equal to app, and I'm clicking on review and submit, and I can start the search. So now I can give like index is equal to app. Okay, here I'm selecting the, it's not a running log, no? It's not a real-time log. So I will be selecting something like a all time, so that it will display the fields. So there are something like selected fields. Selected fields are something like source, I mean like source host as well as the source type. Source type will talk about the what is the type of log. Okay, source is the actual log file name. Okay, and host is something like from where the log is coming. Okay, these are the, this is called as the metadata. Like for every log snippet, whatever that gets pulled into this Splunk, no, you will be having this information tagged, like what is the time it is coming, okay, when the ingestion happened, as well as the host name, source, and source types. Okay, for every bit of log, these three will be attached. So here, this is what I was talking about. If you see the product ID, okay, it has created these many product IDs. Okay, because as it is a key value pair, and there is something like a session ID. Here there are so many session IDs, because and the Splunk has created fields because it is a key value pair, and there is something like a status code, status, even though it is not a key value pair, but the Splunk has created some key value, like some fields with the status name. Okay, and there will be something like HTTP method. Yeah, method is there, post and get. Even though it is not a key value pair, right? It created the values. Okay, now if I want to, like, I will just put one small. Now I want to know what are the uh, I have ran the test. Okay, I ran some performance test. Okay, out of which I am doing some scenarios like add to cart. Okay, I will be doing the purchase. Okay, I will be like making some remove the item and all those. In meantime, right, some other team is also doing some testing or something, but I mean like your scope is to do for 3 or 4 transactions. You want to validate whether, let's assume like there is a bug in the payment. Okay, and what you have done, right, you have skipped the transaction. If you do any payment kind of stuff, right, the system will show any abnormal behavior. So if you want to test, right, you can give table. Okay, table followed by the field name. Okay, if you give on search, right, it will show all the products. Okay, I will use something like, I will explain what is all this like. So currently, right, in my test, I have performed these operations. So I can check in my 1 hour. Okay, I made something like a purchase. Like that, we can troubleshoot. I will go through these commands, but now for today, right, you understood like how Splunk ingests the data, right? Let's assume there is one more case where index is equal to, if I want to get index is equal to app, I will be using the all time as it is not a running log. So let's assume like this is the response time. This is the response time. Let's assume Splunk has not created the field for that. Okay, so what you have to do, right? There are other like other ways to create and extract the response time into some field. Okay, we will see that in our regular classes. Got it? So in your like in your daily job, right, if the field is available, you have to use it. If you don't have the field, you have to create it. Simple. You know what you want to get, right? And once you have the field, right, you can play with the SPL. You can write queries. Any doubts?
So Vibhu, we just need to practice little bit, then maybe we will have some doubts.
Yeah, sure. So like I will put one more. Okay. If I want to add one more log, right? Mm, Secure log is there. This is the Linux log actually. Okay. I'm
So
putting one.
Vibhu, I'm really sorry. Vibhu, I'm really sorry. I'm interrupting. Actually, I joined a bit late, so I just wanted to ask, like you are uploading the logs, right? So it will not
Yes.
detect the logs automatically. We would need to upload it every time.
So there are actually the performance tester job is to just use the data. He won't be like creating the data. And if you want to create the data, okay, you should have a proper application which does the logging meaningfully. Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes.
So I also have one application, okay, but you won't get much data out of it. If I go to, for you, you should understand the fields. If I, one second,
In
I
a
can
real
push.
in a real
Yeah.
time, generally we go to host environment and try to search for the particular server or instance
Yes.
and try to. So right
So
now you're just showing that uploading that
yes,
one logs file
yes,
and how to look into that.
yes. So
Yeah.
like this is the Tomcat log which is generated for the Jmeter store. Okay. But if I pull this data also, there is only session ID which can make you I can make use of. There is no other field, no? Yes or no? For this, there is only one key value pair. And Splunk has provided some like by default it has provided some key value, sorry, this buttercup games. The data, right, whatever the Splunk has provided is of the buttercup games of one project. Normally you will have the projects with same logins, almost the same logins, no? That's why I'm using it. Your job is just to use the data, right? You won't onboard or like you won't do configuration to pull the data. That will be done by the Splunk admin. We'll see like how to get the data also, but for now, right, you just to do the manual ingestion. Like if you are having a laptop, just you play with the data. If you are having some application which does the exact like proper logging, right, if you give me, I can upload it. It's not an issue. But here, right, it is having some multiple fields and it is making some real time like real this is how the real time will happen, right? You will be having like multiple product IDs and you will be having some multiple actions and you will be having some bytes. You are having some multiple client IPs. So normally we'll use the default data for that is given by the Splunk. Okay, the outside also you will find some queries related to this only. In Splunk documentation also they will use the same queries, same fields. Clear? So like actually I have to explain what is how this UI looks and what are the interesting fields and all those. Tomorrow we'll pick that one. Okay, I don't want to, this is like it will take 15-20 minutes for this visualization stats and patterns. What are the, for now, right? Just remember like how the Splunk is going to ingest the data and how it creates the fields. Using these fields only we'll play with the queries. If you don't have field, you can't write a query. This is the search bar. Okay, we have only like 10 minutes now. That's why.
So Vibhu, we need to know query language to any SQL query language to write queries
SQL.
here,
This is
or
SQL. No, it's no need. There are some 20,
oh,
15 to 20 comments. That should be fine.
okay, we can run here.
Yeah. N- Now you understood, no? Like just now I shown one
Yeah,
example. I want to know how
all the
many.
fields. Yeah, Vibhu, on all the fields when the logs are uploaded, all the fields will be listed on the left side, and we
Yes,
can use that and for our query and filtering.
correct. If the field is not available, you have to create a field.
Okay.
Is there a way we can uh, look into the, but here is selected fields, right? Host and source
Hmm.
type information showing, right? In case if you want to go to particular uh, server, right? We can
Hmm,
select
you
that
can select.
particular
You can
host.
select that one. Yeah, that is all minor here. Those are all like
Okay.
small things. Okay, you can
Yeah,
select
because
now in your application, in your environment. You will be having so many source types. You will be having so many logs also. You have to check accordingly.
yeah, in case we want to search in a particular
Correct.
place, or
Yes.
and below, if we select proper query, right, it will speed up that search also. Is it
Yes.
correct?
Filtering will speed up the query.
Yeah, we need to, I think we need to know that how to approach this
That is
in a
all.
real
That
time.
is easy. That is easier.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah, once we know that it is
Yeah.
easier, but before that,
Filtering is very only the queries are tough. Okay. 1 second.
yeah, in an, please explain us in the next
Yeah. Sure.
classes.
Sure. Sure. Sure.